Here in Denver, Colorado, covering CPAC Colorado, talking to Senator John Thune of South Dakota. Senator, it's good to see you again, sir.
Great to be with you, Cameron. Thank you.
Tell me about the performance of Mitt Romney, and who do you think won the debate last night?
Well, I thought it was very one-sided. The president seemed like he was on his heels throughout the entire debate, and it was a very strong performance for Governor Romney, and one that I think will provide a lot of energy for his campaign. I thought that he was created a clear contrast between himself and what his vision for the future of the country and what we've had for the last 4 years with President Obama. And I think it's going to give the American people a very clear choice this fall. But it really does come down to whether you want a government-centered society or whether you want to preserve our history and our heritage built around the whole concept of freedom. And I thought that came across loudly and clearly last night.
Let's talk about energy, because you just said the word and it was talked about last night. Your neighbor to North Dakota is blowing when it comes to energy production and jobs. How can that be replicated around the country, and even are you benefiting from it in South Dakota?
Although we don't get the direct benefit from the energy, I'm hoping someday that with horizontal drilling we'll be able to go and get that energy from North Dakota. No, I'm kidding. But we are the jobs, significant impact. I mean, just to show you how far the economic impact of that is, we've got a lot of people in South Dakota, small businesses who are up in North Dakota now performing jobs, and so it's had a real profound economic impact on the entire region. And what's remarkable about that is just that what we've always said is that when you develop American energy resources, it creates American jobs, and at the same time lessens that dependence that we have on foreign sources of energy. And what's ironic about the president is he got up last night and said, he's for domestic energy production, but there's a real disconnect between what he says and what he does, because he's been blocking the Keystone Pipeline. He's been blocking development of energy resources on public lands, and so we're hoping that with a President Romney that we will be able to further develop many of the resources that we have right here in the United States and get us away from having to rely upon places around the world that are unreliable.
It's pretty amazing when Mitt Romney in the debate last night has to actually say, "I like coal." You actually, we're at a point in our nation's history we have to defend coal.
Yeah, it's amazing to me. And particularly with the new technologies that we have, and the coal is such an important part of the fuel mix. In my state of South Dakota, we're very dependent upon coal-fired power. And so when you start talking about doing away with it, which is what this administration has been doing through regulation every single day, it drives up the cost for people in states like South Dakota for energy. And it's really mind-numbing in a way when you think about this administration, their policies, and the harm that they've done to the economy at no improvement to the environment. They always talk about these things and that they want to do, but they're really it's such a misguided policy to start with, and that's why getting a president who understands that it's not only about making American energy independent, but it's also about creating jobs and growing our economy in this country. That energy development does that, and that's why I think Governor Romney will have a great opportunity to draw a contrast with the president on the energy issue, and I think it's going to really serve him well in the last weeks of this campaign.
Senator, when I talk to members of the House of Representatives and I ask them about low approval numbers for Congress, they pretty much always blame you guys in the Senate, and not you, but it seems to be Harry Reid and things being held up in the Senate. Would a President Romney clear that logjam, do you think?
Well, he's got a history of solving problems in a state where he was dealing with a very, very overwhelmingly Democrat legislature, and so he's got a track record there. This president came in, decided he wanted to ram through anything that he could with Democrat majorities, not consulting or talking to Republicans. And I think people are really tired of that approach, and that's why I think you see some of these approval ratings in Congress. But to be fair, the House of Representatives has led, and the Republicans took control in 2010. They've been producing legislation that's designed to create jobs and get the economy back on track. And at every turn, it gets blocked in the United States Senate, which is run, of course, by Harry Reid and the Democrats. So we're hoping to change that in this election. But people's low approval of the Congress, in many cases, is very justified. The Senate has been run in a way that I've not seen. And I worked there as a staffer 25 years ago, where for 3 consecutive years, the United States Senate doesn't even produce a budget. Now, the House of Representatives has, but the Senate has not even put a budget on the floor of the United States Senate to vote on, which is the most fundamental responsibility we have to the taxpayers of this country.
All right, Senator, last question. We're here in Colorado right now. What does Mitt Romney need to do to win this state?
Well, I think that the governor needs to articulate a message about jobs and the economy. The unemployment rate here in Colorado is over 8%. We were talking earlier about energy development. That holds enormous potential for a state like Colorado that has abundant energy resources. I think he can win this state. My view is that this is one of those states that's really going to decide who the next president is, and I hope that voters in the state understand what's at stake and what the consequences of this vote means for the next 4 years. And I don't think we can withstand another 4 years like the last 4, because the Obama economy, the Obama record has failed way too many Americans. As I said, we've got fuel prices have more than doubled on his watch, healthcare costs up 30%, college tuition up 25%. The only thing that's gone down is average incomes. And we need to change that trajectory, and it starts with an expanding economy and putting policies in place that will allow that to happen.
Senator, thank you, sir.
Thanks, Cameron. Great to be with you.